Say hi. So today I want to talk about a fairly practical beer topic, and that is the cases in which beer... Very disruptive. So today I want to talk about a more practical beer topic, and that is the cases in which beer is not vegan. If you're vegan or vegetarian or have other dietary restrictions, this video might be useful to you. It's important to know that for the most part, beer is pretty safe for vegans. There are only a few scenarios in which it might not be, and we're going to talk about those. So on the face of it, it might seem kind of strange that there are beers that are not vegan, as well as wines and liquors for that matter, because the basic ingredients are all plants and water. But as you know, there are lots of different styles of beer that are made. Sometimes they call for ingredients that happen to be animal products. So we're going to cover ingredients as well as some other weird byproducts that you should probably know about when it comes to what could end up making your beer not vegan. The thing that's a little bit tricky about beer as well as other alcoholic drinks as opposed to food when it comes to being vegan is that they're not required to list all of the ingredients right on the can, which isn't the case with food. In food, you can see everything that's in it right there. So if it's not in the very name or description of the beer, there might be ingredients or other elements used in the process of making that beer that are not vegan that may not be immediately apparent. If you are like most vegans and you avoid honey, we're not gonna get into the merits of whether or not honey ought to be vegan. There are lots of other people who can lead you on that conversation. But if you abstain from honey, it's good to know that honey is used fairly commonly in flavoring and sweetening beers. You should look out for it in saisons or any other style that mentions it in the description. This one can be a little bit harder to spot because it's more versatile than some of the other ingredients we're going to get to. So if you're a diehard honey avoider, it's something that you might want to reach out to companies to ask about to make sure that it's not included but not advertised on the label. Apart from honey, there's lactose is a fairly common beer ingredient, and lactose, as you probably already know, is sugar derived from milk. So if you're vegan or severely lactose intolerant, you'll want to stay away from beers that have lactose in them. It's used in virtually all milk stouts. The styles to look out for apart from milk stouts are primarily sours or pastry stouts or anything that might want to add a creamy flavor to it. The good thing is a lot of craft brewers are really good about labeling when a beer has lactose in it because they know that veganism is fairly common and also lots of people have sensitivities to lactose. That said, it's always worth asking. Now, while lactose is primarily in milk stouts and some more out there funky stouts and sours, I have seen it most recently in a hazy IPA. I guess it was used to add to that hazy quality, which not common, but just goes to show that you can really never be too careful when checking into the beers that you buy before you buy them. It's the kind of thing that usually only takes a second, so if you're a very serious vegan or a person with allergies, it's worth looking into. Interestingly, cream ales, despite the name, generally do not have lactose or any other kind of dairy in them. They're just called that because they have a creamy consistency because of the small carbonation size. Honey and lactose are the two big ones, but occasionally you'll see other ingredients being used. There's one brewery in Los Angeles that has a beer that uses clamato, the clam tomato juice drink, in its brewing process, so that obviously wouldn't be vegan. For the most part, these things are pretty readily apparent based on the name and marketing description of the beer, but it never hurts to ask. So if you're drinking at a brewery, you can usually ask the bar staff, who in my experience are very knowledgeable. Because a lot of these craft breweries are very small companies, they tend to know what's going on the production side because it's literally just around the corner behind the bar. A lot of breweries have become very good at labeling if there's anything non-vegan or otherwise allergy sensitive in their beers. Most of the breweries that I've been to are in Southern California here or in New York, and in both of those places brewers have gotten really good at labeling when something has lactose or any other uncommon ingredient that might be an issue for patrons. It can help though to know what to ask for. So if you're looking at some stout that has chocolatey flavors added and fruity flavors added and something that sounds really desserty, it can help to ask the bar staff, because the bar staff probably aren't the ones actually making the beer, but they might have some insight. It can help to say, do you know if there's lactose in that, rather than do you know if this is vegan, because people who aren't vegan or aren't very familiar with the concept of veganism might need a little bit more clarity than that. So if you're asking for something specific, like if a beer has lactose or honey, they can be more equipped to help you out. If you are not drinking in person at a brewery, but rather you're drinking at a bar or buying your beers to go, it can help to look things up. There's a website, which a lot of you probably already know about, called Barnivore, which is a really great resource put together by the community that has a whole directory of beers as well as wines and liquors that's been built by direct outreach to the companies to ask what kind of ingredients are used in the making and the production of these drinks. In a lot of cases, someone has already wondered, is that beer vegan? And reached out to the company and asked. If you are looking up a beer that's really new or niche, however, and isn't on there, you can always reach out to the company yourself via email or Instagram or whatever other way you can find to contact them. In my experience, brewers are really nice and are always very happy to talk about their products. So if you have specific concerns, reach out, just do it politely. So apart from added ingredients like honey or lactose or etc., it's worth noting that historically, gelatin and isinglass are two products that have been used in the filtration of beer. Gelatin, as you might already know, is made from either pigs or cows, and isinglass is a derivative of fish bladders. Specific and kind of gross, I know. So historically, you'll have found a fair number of brewers using these ingredients as part of the filtration process. It doesn't end up in the final product of the beer, but if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, you might still want to avoid those. I found that it's becoming less and less common these days as there are more modern filtration processes that don't require these ingredients. Things are changing even with some of the world's oldest breweries. However, Guinness used to use isinglass in their filtration process, and now they don't. So you can have a regular Guinness if you're a vegan. It's another thing that's worth checking on. Like I said, it's becoming less and less common, so if you're buying mostly from small craft breweries, especially American craft breweries, you probably don't have to worry about this. But again, as is the case with buying anything when you're a vegan, the best thing you can do is do some research and possibly just ask directly. So beer, like pretty much anything as a vegan, just requires you to do a little bit of research, maybe some asking around if you really can't find answers you're looking for. But for the most part, being vegan is really not that limiting in the world of beer. It seems to me that things are trending away from using animal products, or at least labeling things very clearly when animal products are used, so that's helpful. So I hope this has been helpful to you beer lovers, both vegan and otherwise. Let me know in the comments if there are any other beer topics you'd like me to go over. Give me a like if you feel like it. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay inside.